Now, we have a lot of our friends and viewers and audience members that are living paycheck to paycheck, but why? I mean, and also, isn't the answer just to get a bigger paycheck?
Right, yeah. I think a lot of people think that's the answer, but it's difficult when you're living paycheck to paycheck. Your income just isn't, or just barely enough, likely to cover the basics, like your rent, food, your basic bills. And if something happened with income, I mean, it's really going to throw you off balance with your finances. And I think a lot of people assume it has to do with income. They think that's the leading indicator of living paycheck to paycheck. But it might be surprising to know that that really isn't the number one indicator of living paycheck to paycheck. It's all about the high cost of living, especially right now. Housing costs, transportation costs, all of that compound, and it makes it difficult.
So obviously, all the costs are increasing, but what tips do you recommend somebody employ if they're living paycheck to paycheck? And is it even possible to break out of that?
Yeah, for sure. So a couple things to think about. Short term, how are we going to get by just until the next paycheck, right? So first we're going to think short term, how are we going to survive? So there are little things we can do and little things we shouldn't do as well. So some things I want people to avoid would be things like payday loans or pawn shops, those types of quick fixes.
And I have to ask, why?
You know, the interest rate on payday loans in Washington State is shockingly high. And we see people get in a cycle that it's really hard to get out of because you borrowed the money, you have to pay it back plus interest. And then how are you going to get that when you get your next paycheck? You have to borrow more. And it's a never-ending cycle. And so those are quick fixes. They seem like they're going to work magic, but it's not. It just digs you deeper into that hole. So I always like to tell people, look for resources. Talk to your financial institution. BECU has a lot of resources available for our members, and so check with your financial institution as well. And there's lots of community resources out there. So do your research, look for help, and just know what's out there for you.
So would you be thinking longer term solutions like budgeting?
Yes.
Or like being more strategic with how you spend your money, what is essential purchases and what is not?
Right, yeah. So long term, after we know we can make it to the next payday without taking out a payday loan, hopefully, now we can start looking long term. How are we going to change this moving forward, right? So coming up with the plan, creating that budget, that spending plan. I mean, a lot of us think, well, I just need to make more money, but that's not necessarily going to help, like I said. So it's looking at the little cutbacks that you can make. Even little things can add up to quite a big difference. So taking those baby steps, looking at ways maybe you can take on a side gig to increase your income. Or I've been selling stuff, going through my house and just selling the stuff I don't need. If you don't use it, you don't need it, right?
I just find that I can't bother meeting with people and finding the sites and all that. That
Right,
just gets to
right,
be complicated.
yeah.
But you do make a little bit of money on it. I mean, I have gadgets and electronics that I haven't used for years that are great to give them a new home.
Yeah,
spend them
exactly.
on, get a couple bucks back.
Right, and then put that couple bucks towards one of your financial goals or towards that savings so that when we are struggling to make ends meet, we have that money in our savings account set aside.
I like what you said there. Put that money towards my financial goals. So that could look different for different people.
Absolutely.
It could be saving for a vacation. It could be paying off a high credit card debt. It could be buying a new car, but maybe a little bit here and there will motivate me to save a little bit more, spend a little bit less, and stop living paycheck to paycheck.
Right. Yeah, and I would say if you are living paycheck to paycheck, you might need to reevaluate your goals just a bit until we can get past that feeling of living paycheck to paycheck. So maybe it's I want to save up 3 months worth of expenses or whatever that is, and then we can go back to buying going on the trip or whatever it is. But sometimes we need to take a step back and reevaluate where we're at and where we're going.
Last tip, you're watching this, maybe you feel a little bit of despair. What advice would you have for somebody who is in this situation to just get on out?
Yeah, take a step back, take a deep breath. A lot of people are in that same situation. 62% of us are feeling like we're living paycheck to paycheck. So you are not alone. And there are resources available. You just have to go out and look for those resources, and reputable resources as well.
Well, and thank you for being a reputable resource for us. Stacy Black, lead financial educator for BECU. I'm Brian Westbrook. Thanks for watching. This is GeekWire Studios.